those 3 clips, put them into Final Cut, and then do a multi-frame
multicam
and just switch.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
That's awesome.
So so now you can see here, right? This is part 1, first part, second part, third part, right? This is the program that's coming out of the Mini, right? So this is the one that would have, you can see me switching screens, the live version. But because now I have all the other angles, like you're saying, this would basically essentially be my multicam clip. This would be the first angle, this would be second angle, this would be third, this would be, there is no fourth.
But fourth is the program feed. So if you wanted to,
you're right.
You could, but would you need it? Not really.
No, fourth isn't a program. It comes out like this. Look, you see right here inside the ATEM Mini, when it comes out, it'll say right here, it should say program.
Yeah.
So this is the mix that's
the program.
Yeah. And then 1, 2, 3, 4.
I see. Four is not. It's
four is nothing. It might be audio actually. That is audio. So this is the audio.
You can do your own camera switching and adjustments just using the 3 cameras.
So I'll just do a quick one right now. So when I import, let's say just part 3, that's the shortest one. This is the audio, which actually I prefer to use the files from the Rode mic. So it's not as clean as like taking the SD out of my ATEM Mini, using a file there, even though it's probably usable. I actually prefer using the Rode mic, the Rodecaster. So
audio is even better.
I'll drag that in, sync it up. And again, that's because I'm like a few weeks old as a podcaster. Maybe the ATEM, this file right here that's labeled as 4 is good enough. But for just demonstration purposes, I'll go ahead, import those, and now I'll just select one. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. Make a new multicam clip. We'll call it part 3. Bop. It should be able to do this based on the audio. It should do it by itself. Yes, it is. Boom. And
wait.
What's up?
You said this should
sync it
based on the audio.
Yeah.
And that was using the audio from the ATEM.
Yes. So this is all ATEM. Well.
So you use the ATEM audio, the ATEM camera 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And then you created a multi-clip.
Start again from the beginning. I use
the ATEM audio.
Yeah.
File.
Yes.
You use the camera 1, 2, and 3 files.
Yes.
Then you created a multi-clip.
Yes.
In Final Cut.
Yes.
And then it automatically sync everything?
Yes. Well, I used those 4 files right here. Untitled Cam 1, which is actually just screen recording. Untitled Cam 2, which is the wide here. Untitled Cam 3, which is me, close up. Untitled Cam 4, which is just what ATEM Mini calls the audio.
Okay.
The master, you could call it master mix, studio mix, program mix, audio. So I select these 4. I highlight them, right click it, new multicam clip.
Okay.
And then that gives me the multicam clip.
What we have here.
Yes. So when I dive in, you see it actually did it by name for me.
And so the audio should be...
So this audio is the one that I would activate. Boom. I'll just deactivate that audio. I was thinking about putting shotguns on each of the mics too, but I was like, no, that's just extra shit. And I don't know if I was thinking about turning on those audios, but then that's just making it more complicated. And this is the audio we want. The Rodecaster, the mics, the Shure SM7Bs is the only audio I want. And those are getting recorded here, and they are represented by this. So I'll activate that.
And turn everything else off.
Yeah. So these ones aren't even active. I mean, this is where I would go in and put whatever kind of edits, compressors, whatever, voice enhancer. And I'd go back, and then I'm just going to make a new project just for this.
I feel like the audio sounds slightly different today than last week.
It could very well be. So if I take this multicam test project, where's my multicam file? It's probably at the bottom. There you are. Boom, drop that in, right? And right now it's on angle or camera 1, which is the screen. I'll go ahead, pull up my angles and my inspector.
Very nice.
Right? And what I'm going to see, or what I would do now, is the speed edit. I'm just using 1, 2, 3, 4 with my 1, 2, 3, 4. So as I'm going through it like this, I can monitor what's going on in the Finder right here.
How did you do that?
But now I'm just
well,
it's
'cause
Shift
I'm
Command
pretty
7.
sure you can change. We'll just play them.
Shift Command
You can
7
change what
brings
it's
up the.
called.
I'm using my finger
Oh,
like
yeah?
you're looking at my
Oh,
finger. Yeah,
Shift
you're
Command
right. You
7
can. In
so
ATEM is this window
is
right
like
here.
Camera 1.
So you can
it's
pull all
really
your
input
angles.
1, and then you just.
And then now all
you
I'm
know.
doing with my left hand
You're
or right
right.
hand
You're
is
not
just
gonna
hitting
put a
like, oh, this
camera
one I'm cut to the
or
wide,
you're
so I
not
hit
gonna put
2.
one of these cameras
And you see
on
I'm
it.
making that
You
edit
might
right
put a
here already.
projector. You might put a computer.
I should blow that up so you can see.
You're not putting a camera on it.
So as this, you can see how this is way faster for editing. So I'm now.
On it.
Let's
Because
just
then you
press
can
the
also
2.
see that it's
Yes.
playing here. It's
I'm
like
going to cut to
line
my
work,
close
you know?
up. I'm going to go
Well,
back to
yeah,
the
just
screen. I know screen
It's
is
just
1.
numbers, but
Oh, Kevin's talking back to 2.
you want to label your
right?
cameras based on
Kenji
what they're gonna
reaction,
be inside
looking
of your
confused.
ATEM.
Back to
You're
Kevin.
not gonna start.
This is when I'd go implement
your
like.
your
Oh yeah, I had the
is now
GoPro footage too, which is not in the
Or
ATEM.
whatever.
So maybe that's when I would go back, open up.
But that's just gonna be
Here.
B-roll then, right?
It could be
how-
B-roll, but a
how
lot of
could
it
you sync it.
a lot of it needs to be synced. You could just right there, boom, bop, add angle, and this is where I'll drop in my GoPro footage. And then when I drop GoPro footage clips into here, I would right click it. Like let's just say I just dropped, this is a GoPro footage. Right click it. Oh, sorry, no. I would select it in the angle, go to this drop down menu and say sync selection to monitoring angle. You do this?
I did it with the wedding.
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah. So same thing, but with
But-
GoPro footage.
But sometimes I would get kind of lost with it a little bit. Like if I had a question, I was just like, oh fuck.
So
Yeah.
for this GoPro, it keeps turning on and off and it's here and there, right? So it's going to naturally, when you look at it in this multicam clip view, it's going to have a lot of empty spaces. It's just here, it's just here, it's just here. So when you pull it out of your finder over here, right? Let's say these are 4 GoPro clips. I guess we should have for, boom, I'll drag it here like that. And really it would only be like it would look more like this or something, you know?
Okay.
You know what I mean? You would have other clips in this angle, which are, angle 5 is just straight up GoPro. You could actually just go to your timeline, not your multicam clip, but your timeline, and just like you said, just put B-roll and just time it yourself, because really you just need insert shots where the GoPro is looking.
Right, because you're not going to use the audio.
It doesn't necessarily. Well, you're definitely not using audio.
Definitely not using the audio.
But sometimes you might. But
More than likely,
you
not
might
go
want it
here.
synced though,
Right.
because we're pointing at things like that. So in those cases, yeah, I would just sync that GoPro footage down here anyway. Then when I go back to my timeline and I'm messing with this clip, I got this view open. That's the thing too. Now I have more than 4, right? So you could just go to settings. There's only 2, 4, and 9, whatever. Then I would have my GoPro stuff whenever it's relevant. It pops up.
You could do GoPro start and stop. So like, oh, I'm going to only start and stop, so it's only for highlights. So I know exactly where it's going to go when I get to that point.
What do you mean?
So like DCam, like,
Okay.
oh, we're shooting the wedding.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I know I'm going to use DCam for hand shots, a couple reactions, rings. So then when they're doing their personal vows, I know it's going to come up. We're going to start doing the rings. Let me pull out that GoPro clip because I know I start and stopped it for that section. You know, I don't know. Maybe that would get too complicated, especially if it is in that multicam view. Then
I think you could do a redundant thing where you have it in the multicam clip itself, as well as you use it. You just pull it out from your library and as insert shots, or you know what? Especially for like same day edits, weddings, whatever. You pull what you know is going to be inserts or B-rolls. You just drop it in the end of your timeline and you cut it up to the parts you know you're going to use.
So when you get to it,
So when you're in the main part of your timeline, like, oh, I need whatever shots.
Yeah.
I know it's at the end. Let me scroll to the end, grab them, bring them back.
yeah.
So I think that's more a preference thing, yeah.
But do when you're doing the quick edit, the 1, 2, 3?
Yeah,
Are you listening to audio at that time?
sometimes. So like this one, I'm not monitoring, right? Because it's
Right.
kind of weird. But okay, I go like there. So like if I'm doing,
I guess we're
another thing is you have to make sure. See right now, you want to make sure it's only on clips.
right, not on
So
audio
not
and
audio.
clips.
I mean, you already know. This is actually what I would have done first before I started cutting, is make sure it always going to default. It's going to select that first one. So I know 4 is the angle that I'm using audio for. And actually, I'll just apply that to all of this. Control, copy, control, boom. Wait, No, actually, I just do that. Duh. So now we're all using this audio clip, and it's highlighted green, so we know we're using this audio, which is from the mix, the program mix from the ATEM. Yep, and I'm going, and I'm really just hitting.
So then what? Is it A2?
Oh,
yeah.
Test shot. Boom. Okay.
Mine
Smiley
starts at 3.
Okay, now he's looking at the screen. So let's look at what Kenji's looking at.
I guess we're starting at 3.
You know, so I'm just using these buttons to edit. Okay, here. It's all the way at the end, right? So I'll just do this for the whole thing. And in fact, I might even do it hit L, so go like 1.5 speed.
Oh.
Hit that L button, right? You can go even faster. Because, you know, if it's something that doesn't require the fine tuning, and you know you've got your safe angles like this, you can always run to. Now Kevin's pointing at stuff. Oh, Kenji, this is when I would cut to the GoPro, whatever, showing the GoPro. From my angles, right? Or maybe I'd be going between GoPro and this. But that will get a lot of the heavy lifting out of the way real quick. Yeah. As far as efficiency. And then from there, so like with the ISO, how I was saying, if I'm over here in front of the camera, but I also need to be tech, and I'm using my computer here, switching angles later on. This is something I read. I need to confirm, but I hope the ATEM Mini exports like a FCML. What is that file? It's like the project file for
XML.
XML. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I made this project timeline in Final Cut, but I want to use it in Premiere or DaVinci. There's some kind of like NLE, universal NLE file. So it doesn't matter what software you're using, but you can still read up to a certain degree, right? Like certain transitions, effects, titles, these things aren't.
I don't think I've used that before.
I could find it right now if I just open like this. What is this?
That's your library.
No, wait,
right?
Here. It's in here. There, this is it. What is this file? See, this says FCP Final Cut Pro event. Similar to this. I can't find it right now, but don't get mad at me, tech peeps. But you get the idea of if this had the cuts that I'm making, so that when I open up the file, I can look at it like this. Basically, ATEM Mini is making this multicam clip for me with these. When I say these, I'm talking about the cuts. So I know I'm gonna just go this way a little bit more.
Yeah.
So when you go in after, for me, I'm talent and tech.
That would be the best.
Afterwards, I just spend time doing this, sliding it, just adjusting it. Boop.
So can you do that with the program? With the program file? Or
with
no?
ATEM? I don't know, because so far, maybe it's in the settings.
I think you can with DaVinci.
Oh, is it only DaVinci?
I think
it is a black magic.
Yeah, I think it might only be DaVinci where you can actually go in and edit.
See, that would make sense because it is a DaVinci thing.
Because that's dope. If you have all 3, let's say you have 3 cameras, you have all 3 cameras.
See,
and you have a program feed, but then you have a file that has all of that mixed together.
Exactly.
So that it's still the program feed, but it has all the data.
I think it does. It has to.
So then you can just move it and pull it, or do a camera switch. You're like, I wanted to go on this camera instead.
Maybe you didn't figure out how to put your inserts or your logos and all your digital assets and stuff. So later on, all you got to do is just drop name titles.
Whoa, if you figure that out,
you know
let
what I
me
mean?
know.
We'll get there.
It might be DaVinci. It might be DaVinci.
It has to be.